Hey, this is Larry here again, and we want to take a few sessions and talk about preaching for life change. You know, it's one thing to teach the Bible and just assume that people are going to figure out what in the world they're supposed to do with it. It's another thing to give them applications and not have a whole lot of Bible with it. But how do we actually teach the Bible in a way that produces life change or at least increases the odds? Now, I want to particularly in this session focus upon what I call the two greatest temptations that every preacher faces. And one is to take too much credit or too much blame for the outcome. Now, we need to be faithful in being faithful to the Word, and we need to do the best we can to salt the oats and lead the horse to water. But at the end of the day, we cannot make that horse drink. I think of the parable that Jesus taught about the seeds that were cast on the four different types of soil. The sower was just as good in every situation, and the seeds were just as good in every situation. What determined the outcome was where the seeds landed. And you and I can have some degree of control of where the seeds land, but we really can't determine the openness and the heart that somebody has when they hear the Word of God. So our job is to do the best we can to, again, salt those oats, lead the horse to water, to understand the culture, to be faithful to the Scriptures, to understand all of the context that impacts openness or causes people to be more closed. But at the end of the day, we can be preaching to very hard soil. We can be a Jeremiah, and it's not that we're a bad preacher, it's that the soil is bad. Or we can have an incredible response, and we don't want to take too much credit for that. So the sense of too much credit or too much blame is one of the great temptations. But there is another one that is equally tempting, and that is the desire to be known as a great preacher rather than to make our great God known. At the end of the day, there are so many things that cause us to react differently based upon whether we're getting a lot of good feedback or we're getting some negative feedback. And it takes a spiritual maturity to learn to step back and remind ourselves, this is not about how people perceive us. This is about how people perceive our God. And in the next video, I want to talk about what I call the Mars Hill problem, which is an outcome of working too hard to be known as a great preacher rather than making our great God known.